All right, Heat fans, Heat Nation, it's time to go back in time. It's summertime, and you know what? There's a shortage of things to talk about because training camp either is starting soon or just started, so there's not much to talk about. So we're gonna go back in time, and we're gonna go back to the 2015 draft.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
And we're going to talk about the steal of the draft, aka Justise Winslow. I'm going to give you 3 legit reasons why he failed in Miami. This might actually be helpful for other fans that now have Justise Winslow on their team. So let's start from draft day. So back on draft day, it wasn't expected for us to draft Justise Winslow. And when we drafted Justise Winslow, the GMs were saying that he was the steal of the draft. And this wasn't our biased GM, this was the other GMs. We also know that Danny Ainge was trying to move up in the draft and acquire Justise Winslow, which in hindsight, Celtics fans were like, oh, thank God. But you never know how it would have worked out. Maybe he stays healthy with the Celtics. You never know. But yeah, he tried to move up. He tried to trade with us. He tried to trade with Charlotte and Detroit. And there was a nasty rumor going around saying that, we screwed up because we could have gotten the picks that turned into Jason or Jalen, which honestly, if you're smart, it's a lie. Because if you go back and look at the amount of draft picks that the Celtics had, there's no way Danny Ainge was going to give us those picks. He had a ton of picks. People don't really talk about it, but the Celtics had a ton of picks that failed. The only picks that turned out great out of like 10 picks was Jalen, Jason, and Terry, and they don't even have Terry on the team anymore. So that was a very nasty rumor that ended up being false, but it hurt a lot of Heat fans once, Justise Winslow didn't work out. Another thing that really hurt us about this whole Justise Winslow situation was the Devin Booker situation. Okay, so a lot of you Heat fans are lying to yourself when you said that you wanted Devin Booker, because back when it was time to draft, everyone, including the GMs and the scouts, they had Devin Booker as just a 3-point specialist, and we didn't need a 3-point specialist that wasn't a small forward and couldn't play defense. So there's no way in hell you legit thought we were going to draft Devin Booker. Kelly was still on the board. We probably could have taken Miles Turner, so more than likely the pick would have been Kelly or Miles Turner. Hate to burst your bubble, Devin Booker Heat fans. Just enjoy Tyler. Tyler is like the super value version of Devin Booker. We're gonna obviously pay him less if we, give him his extension or sign him next summer. But now let's return back to Justise Winslow. So let me give you reason number 1 of why you failed in Miami. So reason number 1 is health. Let's just look at the 4-year sample that we have of him in Miami. So this is before the final year we traded him. There were 328 games available, and he only played in 230 games. That's 70% exact. And some of those games might have been, he was coming back from injury, or he wasn't experienced enough, so he didn't get a lot of minutes. So he didn't have a lot of playing time in his entire stay with us because he was always injured. One of the worst injuries he suffered was in his second year, because we were expecting to expand his role that year, and he had got the shoulder injury after 18 games. And that honestly derailed his development. And I think a lot of Heat fans don't really consider that, but he's going into a second year, and if he plays majority of the 82 games, he's going to improve as a player. And also we were allowing him to take more shots. I think that was one of the years where he attempted a ton of shots and he wasn't hitting them, but it could have gotten better over the season. So that's something that we need to consider when we talk about his health. So with his health issues, we're going to go ahead and transition into reason number 2, which is, I want to say, mental weakness. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use. I definitely don't want to make fun of people who have issues with mental health. Mental health is very serious. If you're dealing with mental health issues, definitely go out and seek help. Justise at one point highlighted that when he was still with us in his 5th year. So there's a lot of reasons for this, though. If you think about reason 1, where he's healthy, or not healthy, you return from not being healthy and you haven't practiced in a while, you start practicing, you start to lose confidence. So that definitely could affect your mental strength. And so if you don't have confidence, it's hard to be a good player, because part of being a good player is having confidence. And if you're super talented, it's very easy for you to be confident. So, health is not going to be an issue for you, and it's not going to affect your mental health. But for Justise Winslow, we got to consider a few things. We drafted him to replace LeBron, and we also drafted him to take the torch from Dwayne Wade. And with those expectations, a lot of players are going to crumble under those expectations, especially being, 19 years old. And obviously he stayed longer with us, so he was probably about 23, 24 years old when we traded him. But yeah, it started from 19, so there's a lot of pressure on him just to be good. And then, he goes out and he gets injured, so that is going to affect his mental strength. And it takes a special kind of person to deal with all that, especially at such a young age. So it's not a knock on Winslow as a player or anything that he did wrong. I mean, that it is what it is. He wasn't mentally strong. I don't mean to offend him. He definitely had some good runs. I mean, his best shooting years were his third and fourth year, where he shot over 37% from three, which is reasonable, for someone who sometimes the defenses will leave him open, but some of them were contested. He had some nice runs when he was with us. When he played well, he kind of reminded me of a two-way playmaker. I mean, my favorite game that he played while he was with us was the game versus Kawhi Leonard. They basically went blow for blow, and we ended up losing that game. But Kawhi went over and dapped him up. I mean, he was impressed. He looked like he could still potentially be a good player. So that was easily one of my favorite games of the Winslow era. Now, this mental issue obviously still is a thing, because if you look at his numbers, he's shooting under 23% from three, and that's with all the other teams that he's been traded to. So that's Memphis, Clippers, and I think now he's with the Blazers. So this is still going on. So hopefully he can stay healthy and continue to battle against those mental issues. But let's go into our final reason. So our final reason is consistency. So consistency ties into the other two reasons. So if you obviously mentally you're not super strong, and physically you're not super strong in terms of durability and being available, you're going to have consistency issues. This is not an issue for players like Zion, Kyrie, or Grant Hill, who obviously another player that got his career derailed by injuries. This is why I don't like Duke players, because of injury and situations like that. If they're not super talented, don't draft Duke players. No offense to any people who are like Duke fans or like Duke players. But yeah, the consistency is not going to be an issue for someone who's super talented. But for Justise Winslow, he was, becoming a good player. Yes, he won at the collegiate level, but now you jump into the NBA level and everybody's super strong and super fast and they're all jumping high. So he's going to have situations where he doesn't shoot consistently or he doesn't finish consistently, because he, again, has to deal with mental issues, and then he's also going to have to deal with health issues. So it's from like two sides basically, so mentally and physically. So most Heat fans are casual fans, so they're going to just say, oh, Justise Winslow sucks. But those three reasons that I gave are legit reasons as to why he didn't work out. And if you're a fan of another team and you just acquired Justise Winslow or signed him, or he's on your team, those are the issues that he may still be dealing with, and those are the reasons why he didn't work out in Miami. And I wish you the best of luck, Justise Winslow. I always liked you while you were here. Obviously, I wish things would have worked out differently. You would have stayed healthier, but you can't control that. It's life. So best of luck to you, Justise Winslow. And Heat fans, take it easy on Justise Winslow. Yeah, you might have them on the bus list for us, along with Michael Beasley. But to be honest, I don't think either guy needs to go high on the list. There are some players that I probably need to make a video on that you guys don't even talk about. So the fact that we still talk about Justise Winslow and Beasley, there was something there. So, all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.